Hi, everybody. My name's Mike Dean. So I'm one of the global heads at Bloomberg Intelligence, which is the research function at Bloomberg. We have about 450 analysts globally, and we cover all sectors. So we're very similar to the research functions that you have at investment banks. So it's a pleasure to be able to speak to James today. I don't know if you want to introduce yourself.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to be here. So I'm James Peng. I'm the founder and CEO of Pony.ai. So we are a company that was founded in the Silicon Valley, heart of the Silicon Valley, and we are also currently actually have large-scale R&D and testing and operation in the Tier 1 cities in China, in all 4 Tier 1 cities. So it's a great pleasure to be here and to have this opportunity to discuss about the future of mobility.
Thank you. We were just chatting earlier. I think the most important question in Europe at the moment is who's going to win the Euros?
Europe?
The European Championship?
Yeah, I know. I actually was in Munich for the last 2 days, and I saw tons of soccer fans, but I don't know.
Okay.
I actually don't have my favorite, but I watched the game quite a bit.
I digress. So I've been covering the sector for 25 years. The changes, the disruption that we've seen in the last 5 years is greater than the previous 20, and I expect the next 5 to be even greater. 6 or 7 years ago at CES, we used to have test drives of autonomous vehicles. They were very painful, they were slow. If a paper bag ran in front of the car, it would stop, wouldn't know what to do. Please take us forward now into what your robo-taxis are doing, what locations are they operating in, and what are the fleet sizes?
Yes. I think in terms of autonomous driving, some people still, if you still have the image of the old days, well, old days, what I meant, the 5 years ago, there were still vehicles with a safety driver in the car, but that was no longer the case. I think in the last 2 years, although I think both in terms of the technology, in terms of the penetration, in terms of the scale of the operation, it's much, much bigger than what used to be. Last 2 years, I think the defining moment for the whole industry, not just for Pony.ai, is finally we have the true driverless operations, right? If some of you goes to San Francisco, you will see the Waymo cars actually taking real passengers. I was actually riding their vehicles a month ago. Similar thing in China, if any of you have opportunity to go to Beijing, Guangzhou, or Shenzhen, we're actually operating in all 3 cities, truly driverlessly. That means you can use a mobile app like your favorite Uber or Didi or whatever you have, and you can actually specify your destination, and the full driverless vehicle will come in with no one in there. You get in. The vehicle's performance is, it goes with the flow. It's not slow. It will not just pick the big roads. It actually goes to the little alley as well. So that's I think it's the revolutionary moment for the industry, and that's like the realization of the dreams and the visions that we had when we founded Pony.ai. We're currently, finally, in the last 2 years, made the technology work, pushed the boundary of the regulations, and have some scaled operation. So as you said, the fleet, we are actually currently have about 500 vehicles, still not that big of a fleet, but we are running in all the 4 Tier 1 cities in China, Beijing, Guangzhou, Shanghai, and Shenzhen. We're operating in Fremont, California, Tucson, Arizona, and it's a fully driverless operation. So the ride is actually quite popular in Guangzhou and Beijing, particularly because we have much larger scale operation. We actually have about 15 rides per vehicle per day. So that's already on par with some of the taxi operations. So I think we'll finally see probably it's really at the beginning of a large-scale operation, and truly you'll see true driverless operations, a robo vehicle taking you everywhere, probably in the very near future.
So you have fleets in China, you have fleets in the US. That's largely due to the regulation that's in those regions. Where are you looking to expand to from these areas?
Great question. This is a MOVE conference. I think the mobility needs globally is the same. It's not just in particular tech-savvy areas, because well, generally we start in those areas to showcase and to set an example. But we do see there's a global demand for cheaper, for more reliable, for safer mobility options. So we are actually, in the last year and a half, we're looking at the global opportunities. Currently, we actually about a year ago, we started looking into the South Korea market, in the Seoul and in the Jeju Island. The local government is very pro autonomous mobility. So they're in the process of setting up the facility and passing some relevant regulations to allow us to do the operations there. We also look into some Middle Eastern region in the GCC areas where we will set up a joint venture with the NIM, the future city, to have autonomous mobility. And of course, Europe is a great market that we cannot ignore. Although I think the challenge here is there's too many countries, too different types of regulations. So I'm actually happy to announce that our first step into the Europe is in Luxembourg. So we're actually going to have our small R&D and operation in Luxembourg soon.
Can I ask, Europe's a big place. Why did you choose Luxembourg?
Yeah, I think we have to start somewhere. We know the European market is huge. It has huge potential in terms of the autonomous mobility, in terms of also the Europe market. I think is interesting is it already has a really good public transportation and existing taxi fleet and everything. So how do we plug the autonomous mobility into the existing transportation network? I think itself is very interesting. Not just the technical side, not just the regulatory side. So we have to start somewhere. I think the Luxembourg is a small country with open-minded government, so we can actually use this as the starting point for us. So our hope, of course, is use this as a launch pad so that we can actually go to the other countries, use Luxembourg as the beginning for us.
Great. Can we talk a bit about the technology now? You've got three aspects to autonomous driving. You've got the perception, the vision of the car. You've got the computing, the thinking of the car. And then you've got the actuators, which are the muscles of the car that perform the driving. What technology do you use in terms of the perception?
Yes. First of all, of course, in order to drive in all different types of traffic conditions, weather conditions. By the way, we are actually performing and operating 24/7. That means, especially in Guangzhou, it rains half of the year. So we actually have to deal with heavy rains, storms, and whatnot. So that means the perception needs to be fault resistant. So currently we're actually using sensor fusion approach. We have LiDAR, we have cameras, we have radar. I think in our latest setup, we have 5 LiDAR, 14 cameras, and 5 radars. So that's the kind of setup. But it's not just about how many eyes you have. It's really, I think the technical challenge is on the brain part, right? How do you fuse all the input so that you can actually have the right perception have the good prediction of the behavior of those objects that you detected. So I think our system evolves, of course. We definitely incorporate the latest technology. We do a lot of end-to-end training on the input, taking the sensor input, and we generate the trajectories. And at the same time, we also have some safety nets, some safety rules in the system so that the performance of the vehicle, then it's safe, it's efficient, and it's very comfortable.
What are the hardest parts to navigate in terms of autonomous driving for you? Could you handle a traffic cop doing signals? Or how do you manage, say, potholes in the road? What are the most difficult situations that you have to manage?
Yeah, well, if I have to name all of them, probably it takes the whole meeting. I think surprisingly, the most difficult part is actually all of us. It's the irrational behavior of the other road agents. Because what you mentioned, if it's a static, if it's a pothole, if it's a construction, although it's hard to deal with, but once you detect, you can always either safety stop there or find an alternative route. So those are typically, anything static is, I wouldn't say it's easy to deal with, but you can always find a way. It's the irrational behavior of us, or it's small animals, that requires a decision in the split of a second. And the tricky part is, although people say, hey, once we train our systems, do you need to be separately trained for different countries, different cities, different regions? I say, yes, we do. But as you asked, the most difficult part is actually the irrational behaviors of some participants. And the crazy drivers is the same everywhere. So it's actually, once we can deal with this, it makes the system to be a lot more versatile and a lot to be adaptive to different cities.
Are you able to talk about the competition on how does your technology differ from, say, Beidou, Waymo, Cruise, or even Tesla? What's the unique selling point for Pony.ai technology for robotaxis?
Yeah, Michael, you asked a good question. I think you already named all the competitors for us. I think probably for now, I would say the biggest competitive advantage is the cost. The whole system, our cost is, compared with some of the competitors, we're almost a magnitude cheaper. It's hard to imagine, but at least 5 times cheaper on all the equipments that we put on a vehicle. So I think that cost competitiveness will actually give us a lot of edge once we go scale.
Okay. Wow. So you talked about scale. How do we move from this testing environment to mass scale production for your vehicles and technology?
Absolutely. That's why I think this is a great question we allude to, because cost, I think, is the most important factor for the scale up. So last year we actually formed a joint venture with Toyota and Toyota GAC on the mass production of the vehicle. So we're actually retooling the existing assembly line so that all the wiring, all the adding of the sensors will be done on the assembly line. We are looking at SOP next year, so that means next year we'll have thousands of vehicles actually on the road, and then gradually we'll scale up. I think once we have bigger volume, so the series production is a game of volume, right? Once we have a larger volume, we can even drive the price to be lower. So that means according to us, the unit economics for our next year's model will already be positive. I think once we have positive margin, we can scale a lot faster.
And what's the business model for robotaxis? Is it your partner Toyota that will be selling the taxis? I mean, who provides the back-end service for this service?
Excellent question. That's why we're leveraging a lot of existing partners. For example, for manufacturing, we are working with Toyota. We are actually working with some other OEMs as well. In terms of the maintenance, we are leveraging some of the existing dealership. And then for the charging maintenance, there's some partners. Even for the car ownership, there's some taxi companies who's actually willing to take on. So you can think of our main business is that we are developing the driver, a virtual driver. So that's our business model. We are collecting fares for the driver, and we're leveraging all the partners to do everything else.
And I believe at the moment in China, for every 3 robotaxis, you need 1 safety officer to oversee its performance. What sort of back-end safety features do you envisage in terms of personnel that you will need for fleets of several hundred, several thousand?
No, that's just the current, because it goes by stages, right?
Sure.
You used to be a safety operator within the vehicle. Now we took them out. Then it's 1-to-1 from the back end. Now it's 1-to-3. I think we're looking to 1-to-20, maybe even 1-to-50 in the future. I think currently the remote assistant is not actually for safety operation. It's a lot of cases. It's for more like a call center, right? If the passenger needs something, he has a friendly human to talk to. Or if the vehicle actually, as we mentioned, if it's stuck in a construction zone, that the remote assist can help the vehicles to navigate out. But other than that, the vehicle itself is responsible for all the safety operations.
Okay, you mentioned regulation. I suppose that's another bottleneck. When do you think you'll be able to operate fleets of several thousand taxis in all locations, and which regions probably going to be most open to that?
Yeah. I think we will focus on the current cities that we're in. So we'll SOP next year. That means in 2 years, in 2026, we actually will have thousands of vehicles in Beijing, Shenzhen, and Guangzhou. Could be Luxembourg as well, or some other countries, but probably will be a smaller scale.
So what do the regulators ask of you? Are they asking you for X amount of test miles, 0 accidents? What's their criteria for getting you into sort of mass scale for your products?
Yes. That's actually a staged process, step by step. I can share one stat. We're actually running already 3 million kilometers of fully driverless. With the safety driver, we have 35 million kilometers. With that 3 million, we actually have 0 at-fault accidents, 0 critical injury accidents. So that's one of the stats that gives the regulators comfort to actually continuously supporting pushing the boundaries of the regulation.
So you have other parts of the business. What other parts are you most excited about? Is it trucking? Are you involved in actual individual ADAS systems for automotive companies?
Yeah, again, we're developing a virtual driver. The driver is versatile and be able to drive all different types of vehicles. Currently, we have trucking. We do have a trucking effort. But I think the regulation on the trucking side moves a little bit slower because the long-haul trucking requires different provinces, different states to all have the synchronized regulations. So we are more on developing the technology, making everything ready, and working with relevant regulators to push the boundary. Other than that, I think other types of vehicles, we should be able to make them to be autonomous and to be safer and comfort and more efficient for the society. And
in terms of driving or excitement in terms of using your product, how can you make autonomous vehicles exciting for a user, or robotaxis exciting for a user? Or do you want to?
I think our design is to make the driving to be boring, so that you can do whatever you want and forget about you are actually in a car. So that's actually a lot of our riders they're excited. They're looking around for the first 5 minutes. Afterwards, everybody take out their favorite phone and start working or take a nap. So I think that's a testimony of the greatness of the product.
That's great. Well, thank you very much. It's been great discussing this with you, and best of luck for the future.
Yeah, thank you, Michael, and thanks for everyone.
Thank you.